adopt these principles and spur their creativity, especially when they're running a business and trying to make numbers?
Well, I think that the people that come that are attracted to working at Martha Stewart Living are people like-minded to me and others in the company that they've learned about through blogging, through reading our publications, through using our products, through watching the television show, and we also sort of put out a big net to universities and art schools and design schools, asking for any interested interns. We have a lovely intern program going every summer. I wish we could do it constantly because we get some really fine talent that way. But it's people who are interested in using their creativity to further the lifestyle business that we have created at Martha Stewart Living. It was fun. I always try to meet and talk to the interns. And just 2 weeks ago, I had a lunch for them, and there were about 80 of them, and they're charming. Boys and girls, young men and young women. Can't all talk to girls anymore. Oh God! But they are. They look like 12, and they are all in college or in art school, and they're very, very curious. Also, that's the kind of people that are attracted to the company.
Well, I noticed when I was at your offices, I asked them how many people work here, and they told me 550 or 600, and that seems for everything your company does. That seems like a pretty small number of employees. It felt like I know startups in my space that do 1/10 of what you do and have almost as many employees. It seems like it must be somewhat of a startup environment.
Well, it's not exactly startup. It's a productive environment. People work really, really hard, and also long hours, especially in the design area, because they know that they have 40 kitchen ideas to get out for Macy's. And they work really hard working, with the designers, the people who use the CAD machines and the design machines, they're working with them. It's very, very nicely orchestrated place.
I'm not sure everybody realizes the design for all the retail items that you're making is in-house. Right?
Oh yes. We've designed probably 60,000 different products. And we have about 8,500 different products on sale now in Macy's, in the Home Depot, in PetSmart, in independent craft stores at Michael's Craft Store. I mean, think of craft products. Those are little SKUs, but they are sort of a powerful symbol of what we are interested in.
I'm curious about the intersection of your company and everything you're doing now and you as a personal brand. And some of the work that MSLO does is very around you and your name, Martha Stewart Living, and some of it has moved a little bit away from that, like everyday food, where I think it's less about that. What kind of process goes into that, and what is your thinking on the future of your company and your personal brand?
Well, we have 4 magazines. We have Martha Stewart Living, our namesake original product from Martha Stewart Living on the media. We have Everyday Weddings, Martha Stewart Weddings, which is the best-selling weddings magazine on the newsstand. It's a beautiful publication. I think it's 2 years younger than Martha Stewart Living, which is 20 years. Oh, well, tell the microphone guy. Microphone guy, please turn up the volume a little in the back there. I have my microphone on. Woman, whoever the microphone person is, I shouldn't say. Do you think it's a woman or a man? There were men wiring.
There are men and women up there.
Okay. So we have Everyday Food, which I conceived a few years ago as a simple food magazine with about 40 to 50 original recipes published every month for the home cook using about 8 ingredients. That magazine has become very popular, and it is beloved by the readers because they get their recipes that they need for a month. And people are cooking at home. I encourage that a lot. I think it's very important in this economy especially, and also in terms of good health to try to cook meals for your family. And then, of course, we have Whole Living, which is our newest magazine, which we love because it really deals with the whole person, the health, the well-being, the exercise, the glamour, the everything for the whole living audience.
I have to say, I was a subscriber and fan of Blueprint, even though I wasn't in the age demographic. I was targeted to.
We love Blueprint too. And a lot of what's within Blueprint is actually kind of morphed into whole living and also into the pages of Martha Stewart Living. And it was a great magazine, very, very terrific magazine.
So you're here with a room full of bloggers, social media users, photographers, video bloggers. I want to ask you about tech because I remember watching you do tech episodes years ago to your audience, way before a lot of media outlets were acknowledging that women were driving the use of tech and social media. So tell me about you in tech and just what made you kind of realize that all of the women out there would be interested in learning about these things?
Well, I'm pretty proud of my involvement with technology as we know it today. Got my first IBM computer in 1982, which doesn't seem like so long ago, but it actually was. I was an early adopter. I belonged to the Early Adopters Society. I was even invited out to Silicon Valley to attend some, big thing. But they found out I bought a computer early. But I didn't know how to use this computer. We used it for bookkeeping primarily. But I started to learn, and I took a computer science course at Columbia, and I tried very, very hard to figure out what programming was all about. I had a boyfriend who wrote Word and Excel, and I learned a lot from him. And I got to know that community out in Seattle and in Silicon Valley, and I paid a lot of attention to all the new developments. Tried very hard to invest in some of these companies, and missed a couple like Facebook, but I didn't miss Google, and I didn't miss Twitter, and I love Twitter. I can say that here because Twitter is like, to me, it made sense. From the minute I heard about Twitter, it made sense to me, and I know that many of you out there are tweeting as we speak, but, and I should remind you, well, I have some other things to tell you about later, but if we have time. But I think tweeting gets your message out instantaneously. I like to know when things happen. I'm nosy and curious, as I said. And I want to know if there's a tsunami in Japan, and I want to know if there's something fabulous happening in Florida or in Canada or in Europe. But I use it for research. I use it for doing instantaneous surveys. I use it just to find out things that I'm just curious about what people know. I recently said, please, if you're in a foreign country other than America, please tweet me in your language. We got tweets from 30 different countries and 30 different languages. And I really liked knowing that was happening out there.
When you throw a question out on Twitter, how many responses do you usually get? What kind of samples?
Oh, thousands and thousands and thousands.
That is a nationally representative sample. I was going to say that would qualify.
Yeah, but I've also been told by professors that, with 2.5 million followers, you have a limited audience, and unless people retweet you, please retweet me to all your blogs, because then I can sort of prove those professors wrong, that you're still going to the same food bank for information. So statistically, it's not fabulous, but instantaneously it's fabulous. Like, I was at a food company, and I wanted to know how many people would buy something at that supermarket if we had it in that supermarket. We got back a lot of great answers, right there sitting with the executive who had never tweeted. So it's great. Yeah, it's great.
There's something about how, the social media allows you this opportunity for authenticity and transparency. I think one of your more memorable, to me, a series of images and posts was when you cut your lip and you went to the emergency room and you were taking pictures of yourself like 2 in the morning or whatever it was.
Horrible.
And getting stitches.
I was distracting myself.
I
mean, here I am. I had TV I was on my way. This is a horrible story. If you haven't seen my blog on it.
And if you're squeamish, don't.
Yeah, I had just gotten back from a trip, and the next day I went to Bedford, New York, which is near enough to Mount Kisco that they have a good hospital. And I had to leave my house because it was a blizzard. And I thought, well, I better leave tonight because if the blizzard really sets down 3 feet of snow, I'm not going to get to the Today Show at 6 o'clock the next morning. So I leaned down to say goodbye to Francesca, the half of the Daily Wag, that blog. And she lurched up, it was dark, and she lurched up and bashed me right here. And I didn't feel good, and I looked down at her and I said, Francesca! And then the blood started. And then it was 10 o'clock at night in a blizzard. And luckily my driver was there waiting for me, and I called the hospital. I couldn't speak too well with all the blood in my mouth, but I said, please find a plastic surgeon, and I'll be right over to the hospital. My daughter drove up in a ridiculous car in the blizzard. She got stuck. But finally everybody was at the hospital, and I was distracting myself. And they were good